Hades! Yeah. So, this is difficult. This is the hardest game I've ever had to rate on Critical Hit. And then I could see people in the chat going, Hades! Yeah, so it's not a bad game, but there's got some glaring issues with it from my standpoint on an enjoyment factor. Hades is a roguelike game, which burst into popularity last year. And there's almost like a new genre that people didn't know about before. They've been around, but this is the one that people were heralding as a bit of an indie darling. Basically, it's a randomly generated game every time you play it, and the idea is you die a lot, but that's the point of the game. Dying is part of the game, because when you start the game over again from when you continue, things have changed, the story has progressed, the game expects you to die. So moving forward is all about dying. My first hit for this game is the character designs. As you go through, you meet loads of interesting, well-developed characters. All the gods are here. Is Aphrodite. I mean, not so much the bad guys. I didn't think they were that so great. I'm not going down there. But yeah, all the gods, all the characters, they're well designed, there's lots to them, and they've always got something different to say. So unlike a lot of games where there's lots of spoken characters, they generally say the same stuff over and over again. In this, they actually have thousands upon thousands of lines of dialogue, and you can play this game for hours and you'd always hear something different, or the character you like might have something new to say. People are saying it's one of the best games ever made. I've heard people say that because I think if you favour story over everything else in video games, there's a good chance you may agree with that statement. Where the characters and the character design is phenomenal and really interesting, the level, hell, and the stages you go to are not. This place, at first, it looks pretty cool. As I go through the levels of hell, and the whole point of it being a roguelike where it's supposed to attract you to, it's going to be different every time, there's random levels every time, it's not random enough. It really doesn't matter to the gameplay or anything where the exits are, what enemies you necessarily face. Yeah, okay, it might drain your abilities a bit more, and some enemies are a little bit tougher than others, absolutely, but the world and the stages just don't change enough. Because unlike like a Zelda game where the map changes, it doesn't matter. The battlefield is going to be the battlefield, and you can dash and sort of jump over holes, so the layout of the levels really doesn't matter that much. So yeah, it just gets really dull. I'm sorry, it did. I was playing through this and I was just thinking, is this it really? I'm getting a bit fed up now because I've just seen the same locations so many times. And it's not because I haven't done it. You know, I made a point of completing the game before I did it on Critical Hit. But when I got to the end and it said, now you've got to keep doing it over and over again, I was like, oh, I really don't want to, because I'd already seen enough of this place. The roguelike aspect of it is less about, maybe the level design, and more about what you managed to find on your journey. Oh, I didn't do that right. So, I've got this free burst thing. I might not get that next time. Okay, alright, but it doesn't alter the fact I've still got to look at the same locations and go through the same levels. Take out all of the look of the game, right? All of the amazing artwork, all of the the layout of everything, and you just have the maps. The maps look the same. And I hear you already. It's like, well, you could say that about Doom, Bill. You could say that about a lot of the Mario levels where you go for ice or whatever. Maybe it's just this genre for me, but it never felt different enough as I went through the stages. I just thought, well, I just feel like I'm changing the palette and nothing else. Another great point about this game is the intrigue. When you start the game, the biggest intrigue is I want to get out of hell, and everyone's the gods are trying to help me, and my dad's trying to stop me. And all the gods are like, yeah, you got to come up, it's so great, so great. And the intrigue of what you're going to find when you get out is really compelling. Where you're like, what is going on? There's something deeper going on here that I don't know. And like I say, finding out about all of the gods and what secrets they're hiding is really, really interesting. Characters will barely tell you anything, but the more you play it, the more you unravel about this world and what's going on. And all of that is really intriguing. What you're going to find when you get out. Is that the end of the game? What else has the game got to throw at you? Why am I still... I've gotten out of hell. Why am I still playing this game? Why does the game continue? What happens if I keep playing the game? All of that is really fascinating, and I think that is what people consider to be the greatest aspect of this game. And when you die, you think, oh god, this is really disheartening. But the character also says that and kind of goes, we're going to give it another go. And all of the other characters you talk to are like, they know you've died. They know how many times you've died. They know who you died by. They know why you died. They give you advice on how to potentially overcome that next time. And all of that adds up to this kind of, this world is living and breathing. And I get that's what people would love. If you love stories in games, that's fascinating. The game is not, unlike those games where you pick your own adventure, this game gives you a different adventure the more you play it. And how you play it and what happens on your playthrough is depending on what you hear and what you see. Right, back on the misses. God, this is such a hard review. My next miss is the battle system. All this stuff is ranking up and getting me more stronger, so all of my powers and everything else is getting affected by everything I collect. I get that, that's great, but what essentially am I doing gameplay wise every time I go in a room? I am hammering this button. I'm literally pressing one button over and over again. I dash and I hit them again. And I know you're going to say, well, it's all about getting behind them, Bill, to do more damage. Or sometimes you can throw your staff to do damage. Or you might want to pierce them with your bow and arrow. There's so much to it. Yeah, but it's no Ninja Gaiden. It's no, I mean, even Dark Souls or Demon Souls to a certain extent has got more sort of thing. I think what this game really needed was more defense. It needed to be... You needed either a block button or a parry button, and I know, again, I know you're going to say, oh, there's a power-up and stuff that you can get. No, I'm talking about the fundamentals of this game. Strip away a lot of its boons and special abilities that you might get, and look at it at its core. At its core, I am literally just hammering one button constantly. That's what I'm doing. That is not enough for you to, well, it's not enough for me, certainly, to keep wanting to come back to this game over and over again. I swear, I've worn out this button by hammering it to do damage on bosses constantly. That's all I'm kind of doing, is just hammering the same buttons over and over again. Basicness of it and the simplicity of it is its beauty, because anyone can play it. I get that too, but for the amount of time that this game wants you to put into it, for the amount that it wants you to see all of its story and go through it multiple times, the fact that all I will be doing is dodge, hit, dodge, hit, hit, dodge, hit. I just wish there was something else there. The God mode. Now, and let me tell anybody here, right, there is no shame in putting on God mode in this game. So first of all, let me explain what it does. I find that should just be on permanently. It's just so much more fun. And after I'd gutted through because of my pride to get out of hell the first time and really didn't really enjoy this game very much, God mode gave this loads of more legs for me. And I wish I had it on from the start. So every time you die with God mode on, you respawn, but it makes you, I think it's, help me out Vargas, I think it makes you 2% stronger than what you were last time. So unlike the random nature of it, or you getting good, or any of that kind of stuff, you're also given an additional boost for you to see more of the story. So eventually, regardless of your skill level, or whether you can or can't get the right drops, this God mode, and you're gradually getting stronger, will inevitably make it possible for you to see the whole game. As Vibrus had just said, you can get boons or power-ups that just make you cheese through stuff, and things that you found really difficult will be super easy the next run. It's like completely balanced, and that's the kind of enjoying it. It's like rolling the dice and seeing what you get. That's fair enough. But God mode still always gives you something, so every time you're playing it, you're making progress. Regardless of whether you get the lucky roll or not, God mode proves that you will get that little bit further because you are actually stronger. So I really applaud that. Love the character design. Character design is great. Great artist, whoever came up with all the artwork, or the team that came up with the artwork. The feel of the world, the way the characters are portrayed, the voice acting, characters are fantastic, and is clearly the driving factor of this game. That's what drives you to keep playing, to find out more about these characters. As does the intrigue. Where's the story going to go? What is all this about? What's this world about? Where are you going to end up? Who are you going to visit? You know, what are you going to see next? All of that is what really makes this game feel alive and keeps driving you to play more. Even when you've got to the end of it, or what you think is the end, and they throw another layer of intrigue in there, and it makes you go, okay, well, I'm going to play it again. And it does actually do that. So the intrigue is phenomenal. God mode, I think, is a great addition, and you should not be ashamed to put God mode in to enjoy it. It is fun. It makes it more fun. I felt it makes you feel that you're travelling further towards a goal when you have God mode on. So don't be afraid to put God mode on or be ashamed because you think it's the easy mode. That's certainly not the case. God mode is something different. God mode is for people who doesn't want to keep hitting a brick wall over and over again. It just wants to see that level up. If you like playing RPGs where eventually, no matter how much you grind, you're eventually going to go to the end regardless of how hard that boss is. God mode is for you. As for the misses, I think the stages are too similar. As much as this game is taught as a roguelike, where everything's going to be different, every time you play it, it's going to be different. It's random every time. The stages just feel too much similar. They just change colour. Is a very loose way of explaining it, but it's kind of true. It doesn't matter where the entrances and exits are. It doesn't matter where the holes are, and the bad guys just aren't different enough to worry. So it is very similar every time, and just the change of scenery just wasn't enough for me. I wanted something different from this roguelike adventure, where I needed something other to be changed, or something thrown into the mix to make it feel different every time I visited a new location. The battle system is very much hammering in a crude way, and again, this is why it makes it so hard to rate this game, is hammering the same button over and over again. Just makes it very difficult to enjoy. And I needed something else, like a parry or something. Yes, you can dodge, and yes, all the weapons are phenomenal. The boons that you get can make, break the game as such, and make things really random to the point where you'll be super strong or super weak some runs, and that really mixes it up. But ultimately, you are still hammering the button to let the stats of the weapon do the damage. And that's what it's all about. And the reward for effort, only you will decide whether this is actually true. Where you actually, is story enough for you to keep playing a game that's very similar over and over again. And it drip feeds it to you sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph. There is no massive cutscenes like in a massive RPG like in this place. You are literally getting drip fed bits and tiny bits of information every time you play from many dozens of characters. And when you get to the end, that's not the end, there's more to it. But you have to play through the game constantly to get that information. Do you like that? For me, it wasn't enough. I wanted more in the game. I didn't want more pages to the book. I wanted more for the game to be able to be played. And I just didn't get that with this. That's probably a good analogy. You're reading a book, but to get to page 2, you have to read page 1 again. And then when you get to page 50, to read page 51, you have to read past page 50. That's not exactly true, because you're not entirely getting the same stuff all the time. A couple of those paragraphs in those pages will be different, but the majority of that book you've already gone through, and that's the argument. Is those little changes in paragraphs, those little additions to that book, is that going to be worth you reading through 50 pages that you've already read every time you try and turn a page? So that's for you to decide.